It arrived without a press release, no model card, no technical report, no named laboratory, no parameter count, no training disclosure, no benchmark suite. Just a listing on OpenRouter, a routing layer that sits between developers and dozens of frontier models, under the name OX Alpha. What the listing does claim is significant: a 1 million token context window and input support for text, images, and video. Within days, the coding agent OpenCode made it available free, with what it described as near unlimited usage for a limited window. Thousands of developers are now sending real code, real documents, and real business logic to a provider that has not identified itself. This is not an anomaly. It is a program. OpenRouter calls them cloaked or stealth models, pre-release systems published anonymously so a lab can gather real-world traffic before launch. The pattern is well documented. Quasar Alpha and Optimus Alpha in April 2025 were later confirmed as OpenAI's GPT-4.1 family. Horizon Alpha and Horizon Beta preceded GPT-5. Sonoma Dusk Alpha and Sonoma Sky Alpha in September 2025 turned out to be xAI's Grok 4 fast. Polaris Alpha preceded GPT-5.1. Some, like Cypher Alpha, were never publicly attributed at all. Ox Alpha fits the template exactly. Be precise about the evidence, because most of what is circulating is inference. Confirmed. The model exists on OpenRouter. The listing advertises a 1 million token context window, and it accepts text, image, and video input. Confirmed. OpenCode is currently offering it at no cost. Unconfirmed. Everything else. No lab has claimed it. No parameter count, architecture, training cutoff, or safety evaluation has been published. Video input plus a 1 million token window narrows the plausible field. Relatively few labs ship production video understanding. But narrowing a field is not identification. Anyone telling you with confidence which company built Ox Alpha is guessing, and the guess is currently unfalsifiable. The free window is not charity. OpenRouter's own documentation on cloaked models is unusually blunt about the trade. For stealth listings, prompts and completions are logged and shared with the upstream provider, regardless of a user's normal privacy settings. That is the consideration. The lab is buying something more valuable than inference revenue, distribution, live traffic patterns, failure cases at scale, and comparative preference data against competitors, all before a launch date. Coding agents are especially prized. Agentic workloads generate long, multi-turn, tool-heavy traces that are extremely difficult to simulate internally. A free window inside a coding agent is a targeted data acquisition strategy. There is a second reason for the mask, and it is methodological. Brand contaminates evaluation. Developers rate a model differently when they know who made it. Anonymous listings, the same logic behind unnamed entrants on public leaderboards, produce cleaner preference signal. It also gives the lab an exit. If Ox Alpha underperforms, it can be withdrawn quietly, with no reputational cost and no retraction to write. This is the structural asymmetry worth understanding. The provider gets clean data and deniability. The developer gets capability and no accountability. That exchange may still be worth making. It should be made knowingly. The context window is the substantive claim. At 1 million tokens, a mid-sized codebase fits in a single prompt. That eliminates the retrieval layer for many tasks. No chunking, no embedding pipeline, no vector database standing between the model and the ground truth. For agents, the payoff is different. Long sessions stop hitting compaction. Most coding agents today summarize and discard history as they run, which is where they lose the thread. A very large window defers that failure mode. Other applications follow: full discovery document sets, complete regulatory filings, multi-hour transcripts, entire log archives held in working memory at once. But advertised context is not effective context. Independent long-context evaluations, NVIDIA's Ruler benchmark among them, and Chroma's 2025 work on what researchers call context rot, have repeatedly found that model accuracy degrades substantially before the stated ceiling, particularly on tasks requiring multi-hop reasoning across distant passages. A model can retrieve a fact at 900,000 tokens and still fail to reason over material at 200,000. Latency and cost also scale. Until Ox Alpha has been tested against published long-context suites by parties other than its own creator, the million-token figure is a specification, not a demonstrated capability. Video input deserves separate treatment because the token arithmetic is unforgiving. Comparable systems that publish their video tokenization rates consume on the order of 15,000 tokens per minute of footage at default sampling. Ox Alpha has published no such rate. But if it is broadly in that range, a million-token window holds roughly an hour of video, not a library. That is still transformative for specific workflows. Reviewing a full security camera shift, analyzing a recorded deposition, processing a complete surgical procedure. It is not, as some early commentary has suggested, the ability to reason over arbitrary video archives. So, experiment or wait. The honest answer is that it depends entirely on what you send. There is no meaningful downside to evaluating Ox Alpha on synthetic tasks, open-source repositories, or public documents, that is free capability testing on someone else's compute. There is real downside to routing client code under NDA, personal data, health records, or unreleased product work through an unidentified provider whose retention policy, jurisdiction, and legal entity you cannot name. Add 3 operational risks: no service guarantee, silent version changes that invalidate your benchmarks, and a certainty that the endpoint disappears when the window closes. Step back from Ox Alpha specifically. The pattern it represents matters more than the model. Anonymous, undocumented systems are now routinely entering production developer workflows, not as research previews behind waitlists, but as default options inside the tools people ship with. The gateway layer has made model provenance nearly invisible at the point of use. That is efficient. It is also a supply chain problem that the industry has not yet named, let alone solved. Ox Alpha will almost certainly be unmasked within weeks, as every one of its predecessors was. The structural question it exposes will not be.